Hi, I'm Clifford Bates, and welcome once again to Reading Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics. Nicomachean Ethics. Well, today we're wrapping up Book 3, to Chapter 12 of Book 3, finishing Book 3, which wraps up this chapter 12, wraps up the discussion of moderation or sophosune, right? So let's turn to, right, let's go start with it, right? Chapter 12 deals with the question of what he says. Licentious seems more voluntary than cowardness. For the former arises on account of pleasures, while the latter on account of pain. And for these two, pleasure is something we choose, pain is something we avoid. So, in other words, he's arguing that naturally we would choose pleasure. Normally, the normal person would choose pleasure and try to avoid pain, right? And therefore, this is something we choose, right? We would choose pleasure over pain. Therefore, this is why there is something more a matter of choice, more voluntary about cowardliness than licentiousness. Oh, sorry, licentiousness than cowardness. Sorry. Oops, flipped it. That's my dyslexia. That's a mental moment of dyslexia there. No, rather there is something more of choice. We choose the excess of pleasures. So licentiousness is something much more voluntary than cowardness. Cowardness is something we submit to out of fear of the pains. In other words, our fear of the pain that will happen leads us to not act, right? And therefore there is something in one sense understandable about it, but still because it's more, you should overcome that in that sense. So therefore there is something more voluntary. It's not saying he's not saying cowardliness is not voluntary. That's that he insists upon that. It's that from the point of view that if we compare licentiousness and cowardness, this seems more voluntary because it's concerned with choosing of pleasures, and here with the avoiding of pain, right? So both seems more, both are rational, in other words, and therefore we choose this in that sense. And pain unhinges a person and destroys the nature of him who undergoes it, whereas pleasure does no such thing. So pain, in other words, this is the point, but the nature of pain, that pain unhinges a person and destroys his nature. And unhinges it unrattles him. It makes him, breaks him down. Pleasure doesn't do that in that same way. So it's more voluntary and hence more subject to reproach. So again, this is very interesting because licentiousness is more he's going to say because it is, in other words, we're going to weigh of this. Which is more reproachable, cowardliness or being licentious? Now, mostly we would think cowardliness would be more reproachable. But Aristotle here says, in this argument here, he says, no. Licentiousness is more reproachable. Why? Because it's more voluntary. Why? Because it's tied to pleasure. Whereas courage or cowardness it's understandable or rational that one is want to avoid pain. In other words, and therefore you don't do this. You don't choose pain willingly or naturally willingly. You try to avoid it, right? So therefore, this is what it says here, right? So it is more voluntary and hence more subject to reproach. Indeed, it is easier to be habituated in relation to pleasures, for there are many such things in life, and the processes of habituation in the cases of pleasure are free of dangers. But it is the reverse in the case of frightening things. Remember that courage and cowardice is about the frightening things, right? Whereas licentiousness and moderation is dealing with the pleasant things. Okay, that therefore it's in other words, the frightening things are rightfully dangerous, and there's going to be what there is danger, uh, and it's not going to be the process and habituation. The cases pleasures are free of dangers, but this is not the case in dealing with the frightening things. There's lots of dangers in the thing, and there's going to be pain. And it might seem that the cowardice is not voluntary in the same way as the particular incidences of it are. So, therefore, cowardliness in general are not voluntary in the same way as incidents of it, particular incidents of it are. For cowardice itself is without pain, whereas the particular incidences of cowardice, people are unhinged on account of the pain they undergo, right? So, therefore, that's the point, that the pain that they're undergoing unhinges them, such that they both throw down their weapons and do other unseemly things. So, what is he saying here? He's saying here that it might seem that cowardice is not voluntary in the same way that particular cases of it are, right? Well, in that sense, this is that interesting thing. He says that cowardice itself is without pain. The idea of it is it without pain, right? But incidences are. People gets unhinged on account of the pain they undergo, right? That they will both throw down their weapons and do unseemly thing. Hence, these things seems to be forced as well. In other words, that they throw down their weapons out of the response to the massive pain that they're receiving from the fear, right? In the case of the licentious person, to the contrary, the particular instances are voluntary, since he or she desires and longs for something, whereas the whole character is less so. For no one desires to be licentious, right? That the individual, in other words, that no one really, he says that no one in that sense, or the nature itself doesn't desire the whole of the nature of the being, a being, this all human beings don't desire to be licentious. But the particular individuals, right, in particular circumstances, they might have a desire, and that desire is an excessive desire. So, since he desires and longs for something, the particular instances are voluntary, whereas that the general thing here. Hence, we apply the name licentiousness to the errors of children, right? We apply the licentiousness to the errors of children, for there's a certain resemblance. Now, 37 here. The term is akalos, which can be used of children who are spoiled. It literally means unchecked or unpunished. So the term is translated as chastised, as chastised, right? Um, akolo, ko, ko, estos, es, estos, a, a, estos. These are children who are spoiled. Literally, they're unchecked and unpunished. So, is there related to the term translated as chastise, hoasim, right? This is chastise something. So, therefore, we apply the name of licentiousness to the errors of children, which they, in a certain resemblance, that they appear like them, and that they're spoiled. They're spoiled. Children who are spoiled, in the sense, unchecked. This is licentious, right? An uncheckedness, which is named for which is named for which makes no difference to the present consideration. Yet it is clear that what comes later is named for what comes earlier. The unchecked. In other words, it, this unchecked nature, this spoiled nature of child. This is it makes no difference to the present circumstances. They're not spoiled in the sense, but it becomes clear that the spoiled person, so unchecked, becomes licentious in that sense, right? Comes clear what later is named for what comes earlier, right? And the transferring of this meaning the transferring of this meaning seems not to have been badly done, since whatever longs for shameful things and can undergo much growth ought to be chastised, and desire and a child are especially of this description. So therefore, they can be chastised. They can undergo growth. So therefore, desire and children are similar in this. That they can be they ought to they can they long for the shameful and can undergo growth, ought to be chastised. They can long for the shameful, but they ought not to, and they can undergo growth. Both of these things the desire can grow, right? In other words, you want more of it. That's a child and a child who is young, who is spoiled or unchecked, can will grow, and he's desiring things he ought not to, right? Okay, and the desires we desire things we ought not to, and that desire can grow. Both of these are kind of similar to it, right? Um, so the transfer of this meaning seems not to have been badly in that sense. Whatever longs for shameful things can undergo such growth and be chastised in desires, and a child especially of description. Children too live according to desire, and the longing for pleasure is present in them especially. I would say is especially. I would change this. I would move especially. The longing for pleasure is especially in them, especially present in them, right? That it is in them, and the children is this is they are of seeking pleasure and avoiding pain is they lack reason, they lack discernment, they lack this other skill, that's other. So the child is what they have. They're mostly tied to this, right? If then this longing will not be obedient and placed under that which rules reason, right, it will grow too great. For the longing of pleasure is insatiable and bombards from all sides someone who lacks sense, right? In other words, it's if you don't check it, you don't make it obedient to something, and it's placed under that an obedient place under something that rules it. It will grow too great. And why? Because the longing of pleasure is insatiable and bombards from all sides someone who lacks sense, right? The activities of the desire increases the innate desire itself. The activities of the desire increases the innate desire. And if the desire are great and intense, they drive out calculation. In other words, it will drive out. In other words, this desire is so powerful, it will drive out calculation. He's saying it will attack everyone from all sides. There's no sense. The activity of the desire increases the innate desire, and that desires are so great and intense, no calculation becomes possible, right? Hence, they ought to be measured and few, and in no way opposed to reason. We say that a thing of that sort, that a thing of that sort is obedient and chastised. And just as a child ought to live in according to the command of his tutor, his parent, right? So to the desiring part of the soul, ought to live in accord with logos, reason. So the reason becomes a tutor. The metaphor here is that he compares the question of the desiring that of the example of a child and the example of desire. This desiring part of the soul is like a child that needs a tutor. The child, if he's not taught properly and does not control his desires, will become spoiled. Likewise, the same too with desire. It becomes spoiled. Why? Because it becomes so powerful, it becomes so big that it cannot listen to reason, right? Hence, the desiring part of the moderate person ought thus to be in harmony with reason. So the sophosaunos, the desiring part of the sophosaunos, should be in harmony with reason. Likewise, the one who is the licentious person, the desiring part of the dissenter is in discord with reason, right? The target of both is the noble. The target of both is the noble. The moderate person and reason is the noble, beautiful. The kalos, right? The noble, the kalos, beautiful, the kalos, right? And the moderate person desires what he ought. He ought what he should, and in the way that he ought, and when he ought. Okay. In other words, the sophosaunos, the moderate one, the sophosaunos desires what he ought and in the way he ought and when he ought. Now the opposite, essentially, is the opposite. He desires when he desires what is not the noble. He desires the wrong things. He then desires what he should not, in the way he should not, and when he should not, or she should not. Right. It is also in this way that reason commands. Reason commands. It is also this way that reason commands that you should do what you should. You should want what you should. You should want it in the should want what you want. You should choose this. That you should do it this way, and you should do it at this time. Right? That's what reason does. It commands. It is also in this way reason operates in this sense. So, and that's why the desire of the moderate person and reason should be in harmony with each other. They're thinking the same way. Let these things then be stated to us concerning sophosaunos, moderation, sophosaunos, moderation. So this is going to he ends his discussion here on the discussion of his second treatment, his extended treatment of moderation here right now. Okay. So this is where we end the chapter and the book. Okay, we will continue on the virtues, the treatment of the virtues, the various virtues, and the next book, book 4, which will deal with all the virtues. Book 4 will have basically 9 chapters. So when we turn next, we will turn to book 4, chapter 1, which begins the discussion, if I believe correctly, of liberality, right? About money. We deal with money, the question of money, and spending, our means, our resources. So we'll stop here. If you have any questions or issues regarding the last chapter, chapter 12, about the question of the licentiousness and sophosune and moderation, what we dealt here today, please put that below, and I will respond to them when I see it. If you have any other issue about licentiousness that you didn't get to cover, you want to talk about this, or maybe about moderation that you have about this that you'd like further some information about, if I see it, I will respond to it. Another thing is, if you've liked the video, please hit the like button. If you like the video anyway, please hit the like button. It helps the channel. It helps with the channel get recommended and things like this. Second thing is that if you have a friend, share the video, share with a friend, encourage others to get introduced by this topic. If you think that's interesting, put it on your social media and share it. If you've not subscribed, please consider subscribing. If you know someone who might be interested in these topics and these themes, have them subscribed also to help grow the channel. Now, if you didn't like what we did and you thought you had some complaints, you can hit the thumb down, but please say what the complaints are and how we can resolve them, or maybe if not resolve them, but if you disagreed with something I said and you strongly disagree with something I said, you can put the comment down there, and we can, at least others will see it and we can learn from it. Okay, I may respond or may not respond, but then other people will see the comments and they'll either find it useful or not useful in that sense. That's it on that thing. Another thing we can do is, if you want to follow me on social media, you can look at the links below. The links for my social media links, you can follow me on my various social media accounts. Another thing you can do is, if you want to help me to do what I do, no. First, before it help me do a thing, fine. You want to follow my academics and know more about me and my academic and my research, you can follow below the social media links. There are the academic social media links, which takes you to sites that host my scholarship and things like that. Or not last, but not least either, is you can help me if you want. If you're interested in helping me to do what I do, in a sense, well, you can do so through. They can do through Subscribestar, Patreon. There's the links to both of those. The links to both of those there. Um, Another thing you can do is, if you want to help, you can buy one of my books. Of course, the Lulu book is a better book. I'll get more money from it in that sense, more direct money from it. But you can buy any of the books. You can buy so directly at your bookstore, or through an online bookstore, through Amazon or Barnes and Noble or something like that. It helps. Again, if you buy my the Aristotle's notebook by Lulu, buy it through Lulu. It will give me the profit that the bookstores get. So that's why it's those of you studying politics and wishing to get a good guide about going through it. It's a workbook in that sense. Please think about that. Part of me, a friend of mine says I should do this new edition. I should revise it a little bit, in the sense that I should edit it and change the fonts and make it smaller a little bit. But I wanted to make it easy to read and to work with. But some people saying maybe I should reduce the size of the book a little bit, and maybe cheapen it by $5 or $4. But we'll see. We'll see. I hope everyone will get some benefit from it. Um, that's it. I hope you can be here. Next time we see us, we'll start chapter 1 of book 4 on the question, I think, of liberality, the famous liberality discussion. Well, take care. See you. Bye bye. Take care. Have a good one.